So yesterday we coded the program. So we need to compile and execute that. Okay. So when you see this message, that means somebody edited and it was not closed properly. So on this screen, you can give cancel. See complete cancel, or you can give simply can. Then you can edit or you can view. For view, it will not ask. When you edit, when you logged out without closing that properly, you will get that screen. Okay, we coded COBOL DB2 program. So we are reading data from file. So these are file declaration. This is input file declaration, and we don't need output file now. So we are not using any output file, right? So I'm deleting this output file declaration. Okay. So only input file declaration I will have. And I have delete declaration of output file fields also. Okay. DDDD. If you give block command DDDD, it will delete complete block, this block. Okay, then so this is the table declaration. So table DB2 fields and equivalent COBOL variables. Okay, so I will. So yesterday I have explained, right? So I added one more entry to that notes yesterday. What I explained. So this is a DCLGen library. So where we have this member CST-TBL. So this will be included from here. Okay. So this has table definition. These are DB2 variables. Okay. So when we create table, we give these names. These are DB2 data types. Okay. Integer, char, decimal, these things. Okay, these are equivalent COBOL variables. You can see here COBOL declaration for table CST TBL. So when you do DCLGen, automatically this member will be created. So this will be written there itself. We no need to write this anything. Okay. So you just need to give table name and submit there on the screen. It will create this member, this complete declaration we get. Okay. So for account number integer, so it is actually 4 bytes. So for that that equivalent is in COBOL, it is equivalent to comp variable S9 of 9 comp. Okay, I will explain yesterday's notes again. Data types and all. Okay, I will also brief on this comp and comp3. You will get complete picture now. So these are file variables. So we are reading data into these variables from file, and this is COBOL equivalent variables of the DB2. Okay, so you can see these tables, these variables have hyphens in between. So whereas COBOL, when we do create table, they have underscores. Okay, so when we created the table, so DCL, so this is the table definition. Okay, table definition. So this is complete DB2. So you can see here CST underscore ACC. So these are DB2 variables. Okay. So we have to use this in exec SQL and end exec. Between exec SQL and end exec, we use these variables as it is. Okay. So SQL is a communication language. So it will work as interface between COBOL program and DB2. So DB2 అనేది database, COBOL అనేది program. Okay. To read data from database, we need SQL. Okay. COBOL లో మనం SQL రాస్తాం. Okay. exec SQL and end exec అని we mention this scope. So within this scope, we use these variables directly. So we can directly use select this account number from employee, the table. What is the table? CST table. So it will fetch this account, these account numbers from this table. Like that, we can use these variables directly within this scope. Say this will tell. So in COBOL, when we use this exec SQL, this will tell this is a SQL, means this is a DB2 related statement. Like that it will tell. So it is start of this SQL, it is end of this SQL. Okay, like that in between these delimiters we write the SQL commands. Okay, so when you use when you want to use COBOL variables inside this scope, inside this exec SQL and end exec, we have to use them with colon symbol, two dots, colon. So if you want to read this variable into somewhere, this value into some other variable, some COBOL variable, we call these as host variables here. So you can do, so automatically when you do select, it will automatically come to this variables. We don't need to use specially into. So when I want to move to separate some special variable, I have some variable, another variable, like have like temporary variable. So working storage section we have, right? So that is for temporary variables. So I'm just taking temporary variables. Let's assume, okay, if I do this, the data, for example, in this, if I have the employee number like 311 like this. So this number, when I do this query, this number will move to this variable. Then in COBOL program, outside this scope, I can use this variable as normal, like as an armor variable. I can use this. So I can move this value, this from this variable to some other variable like that. Okay, or I can display simply. I can display this variable. So when I display this variable, we'll get that output here. Or I can write some report. I can write this value in output file. Like that, we can do anything. So non-DB2 variables, మీరు ఏం యూజ్ చేయాలన్నా సరే within this scope, exec SQL and exec, we have to prefix this colon symbol. Okay. So under hyphens ఉన్నాయి, these are all non-DB2 variables, nothing but COBOL variables అన్నట్టు. Okay. సో వీటిని host variables అంటాం. ఓకే, సో మనం DCL gen అనేది జనరేట్ చేసినప్పుడు using table name, it will automatically create these host variables. సో ఇవి ఆటోమేటిక్గా క్రియేట్ అవుతాయి. వీటిని మనం ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ గా ఇక్కడ ఇంటూ అని వేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. ఇక్కడ ఇంటూ అంటే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఈ వాల్యూ, దిస్ వాల్యూ ఫ్రమ్, సో ఇన్ ద టేబుల్ we have this column, right? So this column value will be moved into this variable. Okay, when we have that DCL gen variables, directly that value come into this. We no need to use this into. Just I explained this to as example. Okay, so let's go to com3 variables. So I will write this. So just forget about DB2. Just to see, look at this comp variables. Okay, we use two types of comp variables. So comp means computational variables. So these are used in computations, and we can say these will compress the data and store in less memory area. Okay, to save the memory area, we use comp. So normal variable like 9 or x, this numeric or alphanumeric, they take 1 byte to store a character or number. Okay, or any symbol, they will take 1 byte. Any symbol, they will take 1 byte. But these comp and comp3 variables, they store same data, they store in less memory area, less than 1 byte. They store this data in less than 1 byte. Just you can understand like that. Okay, for example, comp, so this will store data in different different formats. So these will store data in take 1 byte to store data, and data will be readable format. So manam data read cheyochu. We can understand data easily in these variables 9 and x lo readable format. Okay, data appear in readable format. So when you see file, you can see that customer account number, customer name, directly readable like that. You can see data if you use this 9 and x normal variables. When you use comp variables, data will not be in readable format. So in comp variables, this will store data in binary format. Okay, so which is not readable, not directly readable by developers. Okay, so we are developers, or we can say users, we cannot read this data directly. So system will understand that to read that we have to use tools. To see data properly, we have to use tools, or we have to use tools. Tools ante we have tools like file manager. Okay, file manager ఏంటంటే this is a tool. Using this tool we can open the file. I will show you that how it look like after the execution of the program. Okay, so or we can cover these tools in later sessions. Okay, so we have to use these tools, or we have to display that, we have to convert. So we have to convert and display that in readable format. సో మనం ఈ బైనరీ నుంచి నార్మల్ గా కన్వర్ట్ చేసి డిస్ప్లే చేయాలి. ఓకే, సో for example, if you see the data look like this, so same number if you see, so let's assume a is a variable a, it is normal s9 of 6. So s means sign. If there is sign, it will display sign here. Okay, so it will, for plus positive numbers it will not display any sign, for negative only it will display sign. So 6 bytes we can see directly like this, 202212. If you use comp, this 9 of 6 comp is computational data types, the data will, so that data will appear something like that. You cannot understand, some symbols, some dots, anything will come. Okay, this variable b. So this is example. So we cannot read this data like that. So when you display a or b, like when you convert and display b also, variable b also, you can see that as normal. We cannot see it directly. Okay, so so length of these comp variables are fixed, okay, by ranges. So these are like interview questions they ask in interviews. What is comp variable, what is comp3, so how much memory they take to store the values, like this. Okay, so there are no other data types. These are the last data types. You don't need to worry how many data types we need to learn, like that. Okay, these are the last. We don't have any other than this. We don't have anything else. Okay, so length of these comp variables, these are fixed lengths. If we use s9 of 1 comp to s9 of 4 comp, so 1 to 4, it will, these all, so whatever the number size, if you just specify like this, declare like this 124 comp, it will take 2 bytes memory. Okay, so when you code S9 of, when you define a variable with S9 of y, sorry, of S9 of 5 to 9. So 1 to 4, 5 to 9, like that we have 10, then 10 to 8. So maximum number. So maximum number, or we can say length of maximum length of numeric. So we can say maximum number we can store using numeric data type, or we can say in mainframe number we can store in mainframe using numeric data type is 18 bytes. Okay, so maximum manam 18 bytes కంటే ఎక్కువ నెంబర్ ని స్టోర్ చేయలేం. సో 18 bytes అంటే it can be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 like this. So 9 what is this, 9 plus 9. So like this. So ఇంతకంటే ఎక్కువ నెంబర్ మనం స్టోర్ చేయలేం న్యూమరిక్ డేటా టైప్స్. ఓకే, so 1 crore 10 crores like the trillions. So maximum we can store this number. So that's why we have this data range here 1 to 18. Okay, 9 of 18. So this, so you can see 1 to 4 comp will take 2 bytes memory to store the numbers. And if you define 5 to 9, S9 of 5 comp to S9 of 9 comp, it will take 4 bytes memory to store the values. Okay, and S9 of 10 to 18, it will take 8 bytes memory to store the values. So this is constant fixed memory. So if we just use this, it will store any number in these bytes. Okay, so so 2 bytes, so this will just here it will so one thing is difference between comp and comp3. So comp3 actually compress the data, but comp it will just store in binary format, so it will take 2 bytes memory. Okay, so it will also take 1 byte to store each value, so the number or whatever. So each number, sorry, so these are all numeric. You can see 9 of 1, 9 of 4, 9 of 5, 9. So these are all numeric. There is no alphabetic. Okay, so these will use same as numbers. It will use 1 byte only, 1 byte to store each number. Okay, use 1 byte only, but format is different, but store in binary format. Okay, so sorry, just excuse me. So it will compress, sorry for confusion, it will compress 1 byte to 4 bytes, 4 bytes data into to store in 2 byte memory in binary format. Yeah, I was thinking something different. So there is something else. Okay, so this you can so it will also compress, but the way of compression is different. Okay, so it will compress 1 byte to 4 bytes, 1 byte or 4 byte data. This range it will compress, and it will just store this 1 byte to 4 bytes, whatever the value. If it is like uh, 20 or 2022, like 4 bytes, it will just store in 2 bytes memory in binary format. Okay, so similarly this one it will compress 5 byte to 9 bytes data to store in to store in 4 bytes, 4-byte memory in binary format. Same. This third one, this will compress 10 byte to 18 byte data, 18 bytes data to store in 8 bytes in binary format. So this is the definition of this comp data type. So usage. Okay, so I will explain in later sessions how we can see the data stored in these variables. Okay, that will be covered in next sessions. So just remember this part here as we are observing comp3 variables now. Okay, so comp3 it will store data in hexadecimal format. Okay, here you can see it will 5 plus 2, 7 bytes. So V is assumed decimal point. It will not take memory area to store the decimal point. Okay, it will just display the value like this. So we have when you print, it will come like this, but it internally it will treat it as 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this decimal value it will treat it as like this. But here, so last 2 bytes here it will assume the decimal point here. Okay. So it will store only, it will take only 7 bytes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bytes. This normal number. Okay. So when you use this comp3, so this is optional, usage అనేది optional. We don't need to give this. Okay, pick S9 of 5, V9 of 2, comp3 ante. So this will take 4 bytes to store these 7 bytes. To store 4 bytes memory to store 7 bytes. Okay. So how it will store? It will store 2 digits. So here we have a numbers, right? 2 numbers in each byte, 2 characters, or we can say 2 numbers. 2 numbers in each byte. Okay. So this comp3 will store 2 numbers in each byte. So normal variable, it will store 1 number in each byte. Okay, one byte will take one byte can take or can store 1 number, 1 character, right? This is normal numbers. Okay, normal data types. So it will store 1 number in each byte. So like that we need 7 bytes to store 7 digits. Okay, 7 digits, or we'll use digits. Okay, so here it will do 4. It will use 4 bytes memory to store. Let me change these words. Okay, 7 digits, and it will. So I'm changing this terminology to make you easily understand. Okay, 2 digits. Let me repeat. Okay, this is normal data type. Yes, 9 of, just we use 9 of 5, V9 of 2, total 5 plus 2, 7 bytes. Okay, it will use 7 bytes memory area to store 7 digits. So these are the 7 digits: 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that means it will store one number here on this. This also I will change it. It will store 1 digit in each byte. Okay, 7 bytes, 7 digits means 1 digit in each byte. Okay, so if you go to comp3, it will store 4 bytes. It will take 4 bytes. Okay, it will take 4 bytes memory to store 7 digits. Ela store chestundante it will store 2 digits in each byte. So like this it will store. So vertical గా మీకు 2 lines కనిపిస్తాయి ఫైల్లో. If you see these data types. So దీని ఎలా రీడ్ చేయాలంటే 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. D means positive value. Not instead of D we have C, D, F. So positive, negative like that we have positive value for we get so D means negative, I think. So we get positive, C for positive, okay, negative and unsigned. Unsigned and we don't know whether it's positive or not like that. It will use F, last symbol, okay. So for this it will take 0.5 bytes. So we have 7 bytes, 7 digits, right? So here we 4 bytes it will take. So each byte will store 2 digits, okay. 7 అయిపోయినాయి. Last one, this is for sign bit. For that also it will use 0.5 half byte, okay. 0.5 byte, 0.5 bytes memory to store the sign, okay. That sign is CDF, anything. So 7.5 this plus this 0.5, it will be 4 bytes, sorry, 3.5. 3.5 లో 7 digit store చేస్తుంది and 0.5 లో sign store చేస్తుంది. Okay, initially we'll get confused. So once you practice or once you read the concepts again, so you will understand. So memory calculation ఎలా ఉంటుందంటే ఈ COM3 కి you can use this formula, okay. So length of this COM3 variable calculated based on this formula, okay, n plus 1 by 2. Here n means this total numeric part, okay. 5 plus 2, what it is, 7. So 7 plus 1, 8 by 2. That means you can see 5 plus 2 plus 1 by 2, 4 bytes. So 4 byte memory is required to store this 7 byte value, 7 byte value in this format. So interview they will ask like how much memory this will take. S9 of 5, B9 of 2, COM3, how much memory it will take. So you have to answer like 5 plus 2 plus 1, 8 by 2, 4 bytes it will take to store the values, like that we have to answer. So this practically I will explain after DB2 COBOL DB2. I will show an example how these variables how we can use this, okay. So right now just remember till here. So as we have DB2, in DB2 we have integer part. So as I need to explain what is COM, I am explaining that now here. Okay, ఈ DB2 లో ఇంటిజర్ కి కోబాల్ ఈక్వలెంట్ ఏంటంటే ఇది, ఓకే. S9 of 4 COM. సో యూసేజ్ అనేది జస్ట్ ఉంటుంది అంటే దిస్ డేటా టైప్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ నార్మల్ ఆర్ కాంపా ఏంటి అనేది చెప్పడానికి మనం యూసేజ్ అని వాడతాం. దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆప్షనల్ యూసేజ్ వర్డ్, యూ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు యూజ్ దిస్. ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఈస్ దట్ ఈస్ యూజ్, దెర్ ఈస్ నో డిఫరెన్స్, ఓకే. సో what is the length of this field? It will take S9 of 4 COM. So what is this length? S9 of 9 COM, right? So you can see here S9 of 9 COM, it will take just 4 byte memory to store the values, okay. It will store 9 bytes in just 4 byte memory, okay. So here our account number is 6 byte, right? So it will store that 6 bytes in just 4 byte memory as per this, okay. And this is normal, same as COBOL variable, char equal to same as COBOL. It will take same length x we use here in COBOL. So decimal here in DB2 decimal data type, for that equivalent COBOL is like COM3. So here total 7 bytes, into 7 bytes 2 bytes are decimal, 2 byte decimal part is there. So that is equivalent to this. So S9 of 5, 5 plus 2, 7, right here. So 7 bytes lo 2 అనేది decimal part, okay. So it will, this is, so ఇది ఆటోమేటిక్గా మనకు జనరేట్ అయ్యింది. ఈ దీనికి ఈక్వలెంట్ డిక్లరేషన్ ఇది, okay. Like that we can see in there. Once we generate DCLgen, it will display these variables, okay. Let's go to program, then you can understand. So just try to understand this theoretically. I will explain that practical part. So sweetie 331. So can you see my mainframe screen? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have the program. So this is the program, and well, just will use this if you get confusion. Okay. So these are the, we are reading data. So we have coded two paras here in procedure division. From here actual execution starts. Okay. So initial para here, what I am doing here, I am opening the file. Okay, we have only input file. So opening, for which purpose I am opening? I am opening to read the data. So read means input. Okay. So to read the file, we have to open in input mode. This is file name. So I deleted output file. So we statement open output file statement. We don't have output file here. Okay, this is this pair. I'm just doing one thing in this pair. Then control will come back here. Here it will go to this para, read para. So in this read para, I am reading the records from the file until end of file equal to y. Okay, means records on IP వరకు read చేస్తాను. So we have seen the file already, right? So we have 11 records in that file. So these records we are reading now. Okay, 11 records. So I'm reading this. Custin, when you read this, only first record will come. Okay, this record, Krishna record will come. So not at end. So we have still record still. So the control will goes to this part. If it is end of file, control will goes to this line. Okay. Now we are not at end. So control will goes to this para, this statement. So what we are doing here, perform 300 process para. So it is performing this para here. What we are doing, we are moving the values in from input file. So ws hyphen account cust hyphen account, this is a variable. This will hold this value, and customer name variable hold this value, tran type will hold this value. Like that, these variables hold the values from input file first record values. I am moving these values from these variables to these variables. E variables enti, can anyone tell what are these variables? Target variables.
Table values, sir.
Yes, correct. So these are the COBOL equivalent DB2 table variables. Okay. So when we generated this DCL generation, declaration of DB2 fields. So these are the corresponding COBOL equivalent variables. So we use these variables. Okay. So why we are moving to these variables? Because we use, these are host variables. Nothing but DB2 సంబంధించిన వేరియబుల్స్ ఇవి. COBOL equivalent variables. We call them as host variables. So దీంట్లోకి మూవ్ చేసి then I am inserting the data. ఈ వేరియబుల్స్ మనం SQL లో వాడతాం. ఓకే. So we cannot use this directly. Okay. So we are moving this to this. We are moving the values to these variables. CST, this host variables, and I am inserting the values from this way. These are the host variables. Okay. These variables, from these variables, I am inserting data into DB2 DB2 table. So these are the DB2 variables or DB2 fields, we can say. Okay, you can see difference only underscore here we have this hyphen. So for each variable, automatically we get equivalent COBOL variables. Okay, when we do the DCL generation, this will generate like this. This for each variable we get equivalent this COBOL variable. Okay, that is the purpose of these variables. So when we run this program, the data from this file means yeah, the first record, this will be inserted into the table. Then what will happen? So it will go to end of this perform para. Then it will go again here. This come here again. It will read next record. So it will read next record from input file means this will read this Suresh record. Then it will insert the values in table. Again it will read next record like that. It will insert 11 records in the table. So we have condition here. This loop will be repeated until. So until means until that point, this loop will be repeated. So what is the point here? Until end of file. This variable, if I do find all, it will find from top. So this variable value initially we are giving assigning n value. No, that is not end of file. So here I'm setting the value here. I'm setting at end means last record meet and upload at 11th record when we read this 11th record, then only here I am moving the value y to that variable at end. This condition will met only at last record. Here I am moving y. Then it will come again to repeat that logic. So it will check here. So it is until it is end of file. It is matching to y value. Okay. So then it will stop this para. Then this control go back to here, read para. Then it will stop the program execution. So that's how this will process. So any doubts on this? Anyone has any doubt on the logic how it is? Okay, please go on mute if you don't have any doubt. Okay, so here like when you run SQL, we have seen SQL code, right? So DB2 option 15 here DB2 and SQL. So when you done generate DCL gen, you have to go to 2 here. But normal when you want to run SQL, so SQL we can run outside without program also we can run SQL statements, but that is only just to see what is there in table and all. For programming, like this case, I want to process the records I want to insert in table, and I want to have let's have the condition here. I want to have only records having tran type B or yeah, okay, let it be. I don't change anything. So input file నుంచి records add చేయాలి. So here in example I have taken only 11, but real time you will have lakhs of records. Okay. So in that case we cannot do that completely in SQL. So we have to go to COBOL program. In COBOL program we call this SQL. We use this SQL to do that activity. So SQL ఒక్కదాన్ని కూడా మనం రన్ చేయొచ్చు, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ ఫర్ లిమిటెడ్ పర్పస్. మనం ఓన్లీ DB2 టేబుల్ పైన ఏదైనా ఆపరేషన్ చేయాలంటే యూ కెన్ యూస్ ఓన్లీ SQL. Single value in real time we never insert this single values like this. Okay, for testing purpose we do some insertions like this, but in real time everything will happen through programs only. Program insert is so insert అనేది మనం మాన్యువల్ గా మనం టేబుల్లో ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయడం. సో మాన్యువల్ వే ఇదేంటిది కోబాల్ ఇది ఇన్సర్ట్ అనేది ఆటోమేటిక్. సో ప్రోగ్రామ్ విల్ డూ ఆటోమేటికల్లీ. ఓకే, సీ ద డిఫరెన్స్. సో మాన్యువల్లీ మీరు కావాలని ఏదైనా టేబుల్ పైన ఏదైనా సంథింగ్ యాక్టివిటీ చేయాలనుకుంటే we do this using this SQL spoofy tool. Okay, so now what I want to say is yeah, So when we run this command, so we are getting a variable. What is that variable? SQL code. This is the variable. By looking the status code, we can say what it is. So you can see here SQL code 100. So it returned one value here. Okay. And if it is, there is no value after this record. So it is giving SQL code 100 means end of table. There is no record. So if you delete that, and so if there is no record in the beginning itself, delete from table. Let me delete the even that existing record. Okay, and I will comment this. So when you perform any activity successfully, you can see SQL code 0 means success. So we have different SQL codes. We have to handle those SQL codes in the program. Okay. So now if I run this select, so మీరు పైన కామెంట్ చేసి కూడా కిందది రన్ చేయొచ్చు. There is nothing. It will not ignore that commented line. So I am running again select query. So it is saying directly, it is saying number of rows displayed 0. Zeros record same leave, and it is saying SQL code 100. Okay, we have predefined values like let me share in the notepad. So let's see this SQL codes. So SQL code, it is the variable. It is DB2 variable which is updated after execution. Can you all see my notepad?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, after execution of each SQL command, this SQL code will be updated. Okay, it can be select command, insert command, or whatever. So if SQL code equals 0 means command is success. Okay, command executed successfully means SQL command executed successfully. Okay, so if it is 0 means, sorry, if it is positive value means executed successfully, but it's kind of warnings we can say. So example enti for this, okay, so 100, sorry, so 100 means end of table, end of DB2 table. Okay, or any table in any language, Oracle or any everywhere, this is end of table is 100 SQL code. Okay, we have the values like SQL code. So when we try to insert duplicate values, so if we have some say primary key, so there is a concept primary key, do a foreign key like that. So table మనం duplicate values enter చేయలేం. So in that case we get -803. So negative values are nothing but errors. Okay, so దీనికి example positive values example ఏంటంటే this 100. Okay, negative values example SQL code is equal to -11803 means here trying to insert error ఏంటి అంటే you will see in, if you Google this SQL code -83, you will get so many answers why we get this. So everything you get in Google. If you have anything, any keyword from mainframe, COBOL, if you don't understand evaluate 88 level number, or if you don't understand comp3, you can Google. You will get lot of updates there. Means there are so many websites, they will explain again, like if this explanation is not sufficient, if you need more examples, you can search like that also. So you can So that's why I'm saying you just need to understand what are these. You don't need to buy hard, except syntaxes. Yeah, you are in the beginning stage, you can buy hard, that is fine. But more than that, you have to understand the concept mainly. If you don't remember the syntax, you can Google. Only for interview purpose, you have to, you may need to buy hard that. But while working, you may need to remember anything. You can Google it. You will get everything, every syntax in Google. Okay. So try this error we get while trying to insert duplicate values. Okay, when SQL is trying to insert duplicate values, we get -803 error. Like that, we have different SQL codes. So I will cover that in separate session. So
Sir, can we ignore warnings?
yeah, we can ignore warnings. So we can write the logic separately. So when that is the case, what needs to be done, like that, we can write the logics. Okay. So I will show that example now. So we are done with coding. I will just add these SQL codes in the program. Okay. So can you see my mainframe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this SQL code, this is a variable, right? So that will reside in a copybook, DB2 copybook. Okay. All DB2 copybooks, we call them using include statement. All COBOL copybooks, we call them using copy statement. Okay. This is equal to, this is same as, this include is same as copy statement in COBOL. COBOL means outside this exec SQL and exec, you can use copy. Okay. So I will repeat this. So include here SQL CA, SQL communication area. Okay. Structure query language communication area. This field will have this the variable SQL code. Okay. It has some other additional variables. We don't need that. You can remember just SQL CA. Sorry. We'll have one space not required, just for readability. Okay. So these are the file variables. Okay, if you want, I will delete this, and I will keep this copybook to make you understand difference between include and copy. So here I will use simply copy. What is our copybook name? Earlier we created one, right? So let me see. So we have copybook library. This one. So we have this customer file layout here. Layout is nothing but file declaration. Cust CP book. So I will use this copybook. Instead of declaring here, I am using copy statement. Okay. So just for period, it is expecting period here. So like this, you can see the code in real time. It will look like, okay. So this include is same as this copy outside, copy in COBOL. When you go to SQL, we'll have one space here. Just for readability, they're not required to have space. Okay. So when you go to DB2, we have to use exec SQL and exec, and within this scope only we have to write all DB2 related statements, whether it is a copybook or anything. So here we use, instead of copy statement, we use include. So both the names are same. Copy ante ikkada nunchi copy library nunchi copy chestadi ikkadiki. Include ante ఆ DCL gen నుంచి కానీ లేకపోతే డిఫాల్ట్ DB2 లైబ్రరీ నుంచి కానీ ఇందులో ఇంక్లూడ్ చేస్తుంది. ఆఫ్టర్ కంపైలేషన్ యూ కెన్ సీ దీస్ థింగ్స్. So now what I have to do, I want to do, so after this SQL insert command, I want to evaluate. Evaluate ante I have explained already, right? What is evaluate? We can evaluate a particular value. So evaluate SQL code. I want to evaluate SQL code after this command execution. Okay. So whether it is success or not, like, so you can use when. when zero and success. If SQL code, this is equal to if SQL code is success. So if instead of if conditions, we use evaluate easily. So this is more easy compared to not more easy, we can say. So compared to if, this is flexible. So if you get confused, I will explain this with if condition first, then I will explain with evaluate. Okay. Okay. If SQL code equals 0, then what I want to do, I want to display record inserted successfully. Okay. Then so else, so we'll add else part here. So else I will display SQL code here. A code enter display chestanu. Okay. So it will display the code, but I need the నాకు word కూడా display కావాలి. So if you want to display the word, you have to put in codes, SQL code and colon space this. So it will display the SQL code message along with the SQL code. So that's it. I want to do this here. Okay. End if. So end if is optional. If you don't end if, you can use simply period here. Okay. So both are called as scope terminators. Period also scope terminator. So this if condition, the condition యొక్క పరిధి, I mean scope, that will be completed here if you put period here. Otherwise you can use end if here like that. So end if is optional. Okay. So let's use end if. So we can see the record inserted successfully. If you want to see inserted values also, you can display them here there. Okay. So let's compile this program. So for DB2, we have the compilation process a little bit complex compared to normal program. Okay. So we'll explain. So can you see the notepad here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So normal COBOL program. So normal COBOL process, what we have process for normal program. So let me give an example. Okay. Yeah, we'll share the share a presentation, then we'll yeah, can you see this presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So normal program, for normal program, we code the program, then we compile and then we can execute. Okay, it's direct. So if you go to COBOL DB2 program, okay, so what we do, we have one extra process that is called we have not one, two extra process actually. Let me update this slide. Okay, can you see this updated slide? So we have 5 steps. So normally we have 3 steps: code, compile, and execute. Okay, when you go to COBOL DB2 program, so this is a COBOL DB2 program. Steps in running COBOL DB2 program. Okay. So if you go to the steps running COBOL DB2 program, we have to code the program first. Step 2, we have to pre-compile the program. So before compilation, we have to do pre-compilation. So what that will do, that will separate COBOL code and SQL statements. So it will generate 2 outputs. One is COBOL code. It will replace SQL statements with COBOL equivalent statements. And for another output, it will generate SQL code. Okay. So it is also kind of compilation, pre-compilation. So that is especially for SQLs. So it will compile the SQL statements and generate the DBRMs. DBRM is a like load module for SQL. Okay, database request module. Okay, DBRM it will generate. So I will show that in next slides. Okay. So second step, we separate the COBOL code and SQL code. Third step, we do compilation for separated COBOL code. Okay. Then we get load module in third step. In fourth step, what we do for separated SQL statements, we do bind. Bind means it will generate the executable SQL component that is called plan, PLAN plan. So it is like load module, how we have our COBOL program. For SQL, we have plan. So we give both load module and plan in fifth step and we execute the program. Okay, so this is first time if you see, you will feel new. So if you see the process, if you execute, practice this, you can remember these things easily. So this is COBOL program, right? So this is a plain COBOL program. If you compile this, we get this load module right at the end. So similarly, so this is the run JCL of the normal COBOL program. So we directly run using PGM equal to PGM1 program name. So if you go to COBOL DB2 program, so this is COBOL program. This is COBOL DB2 program. You can see here. So this is the output of this SQL compilation. So we call it as DBRM. Okay. So let me explain this in more better way. Okay. So yeah, can you all see this notepad?
Yes.
Sir.
Yeah. So normal program, we just do compile and execute. So okay. So there is one hidden step after compilation, that is link edit. So we call it as part of compilation only. Okay. So it will link edit the object module. It will create the final load module. Okay. So compile and execute, we can just call it as. And COBOL DB2, it requires SQL So this already I explained, right? So COBOL DB2 program, if you see, so as I said, SQL CA, this is, I just explain the same to you, right? So DCL gen, it is the table declaration. This is also, you are familiar with that. So normal program, we just have compile and execute, two things. And in case of COBOL DB2, we have pre-compilation and then compilation. So compilation, it is combination of it also have link edit within that. These three steps we follow. Okay. So as I said, JCL we used to run anything on mainframe. Okay. So apart from executing COBOL programs, we can also execute assembler programs which are directly in machine language. We can execute assembler programs also on mainframe. Okay, we don't need to learn assembler and all, but I'm like assembler programs, like machine level programs, we have on mainframe. So they are provided by IBM. Okay, so we call them as IBM utilities. Okay, so you can say predefined IBM utilities. Okay, so these are the utilities. So when you see compile JCL, you can see this IGY CRCTL. This is the utility which take input as COBOL program, and it will give the object code. Okay, object code. So this, for this, input is a COBOL program, output is object code. Okay, that object code will be given to this link edit utility. Okay, link edit utility name is IEWL. You just need to remember these utility names. So we have 4 utility names. You just need to remember these 4 utility names. Okay. So IGY CRCT, this is COBOL compilation utility. If you see compile JCL, you can see this utility. So I will show you now that. Okay, then we have IEWL. This is linked edit utility. It will link edit object code. So this is IGY CRCTL. This will generate object code. So which it is machine code, but it is not directly executable. So after that object code, we do link edit. So this will give us final load module, which is executable. Okay. So we don't see this object code. We cannot see directly. We can see directly load module. Okay. So then we have, this is pre-compilation utility. We have DSN HPC. This is the utility which is used for pre-compilation. So as I said, in COBOL DB2, first step we have pre-compilation. So this utility will separate COBOL statements and SQL statements and create two separate outputs. Then we have bind utility, that is like IKJF T01A or 1B. So this bind means it will like compilation, how we have for COBOL program for SQL to generate the load module kind of thing. We use IKJF T01A. Okay. So let me explain that in more better way. So you can see the utility names and what are the inputs and outputs from these utilities. Okay, here you can see that. So you can see for compiler, we have the utility as IGY CRCTL, and input and outputs are COBOL program, and output is object code. Okay, that object code will be given. So can you all see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the compiler utility name is IGY-CRCTL. Okay. So for this we give COBOL program as input. This is nothing but source code what we code, and output of this is object code. So this object code is not directly executable. So we have to do link edit. So it will do some process and it will generate the executable object code. Okay, that is nothing but load module we call. Okay, so that linked utility is IEWL HEWL. Okay, thus that will take compiler output object code as input and it will give the load module as output. Okay. సో మనం ఈ కంపైలర్ కి డైరెక్ట్ మనం రాసిన ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఇన్పుట్ ఇస్తాము, అది ఇట్ విల్ జనరేట్ మిషన్ కోడ్ లాంటిది ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కోడ్ మిషన్ కోడే, బట్ అది డైరెక్ట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయలేము మనం. సో డైరెక్ట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయాలంటే వీ నీడ్ లింక్ ఎడిట్. లింక్ ఎడిట్ విల్ టేక్ దట్ మిషన్ కోడ్ అండ్ అది మనకు డైరెక్ట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటబుల్ మిషన్ కోడ్ ని జనరేట్ చేస్తుంది ఫైనల్ గా. సో దిస్ ఇస్ జస్ట్ కంబైన్లీ దిస్ ఈ రెండు కలిపి వి కాల్ ఇట్ as compilation process, compile and link edit. Okay, this is for normal program. So when you can see here normal program మనం రాసిన ప్రోగ్రామ్, యూ కెన్ సీ ఫైనల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటబుల్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కోడ్ అంటే లోడ్ మాడ్యూల్ ఇప్పటిదాకా మీరు చూసారు కదా లోడ్ లైబ్రరీ. సో దిస్ ఈస్ మిషన్ కోడ్, ఇది ఎగ్జిక్యూటబుల్ మనం ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ చేసేయాలో ఇది ఇస్తాం. ఓకే, ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ చేసేయాలన్నా రన్ చేసేయాలన్నా ఒకటే. ఓకే, సో మన రన్ చేసేయాల్ ఇలా ఉంటుంది నార్మల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. వీ హ్యావ్ సీన్ నార్మల్ రన్ చేసేయల్స్ రైట్. సో ఫర్ వాట్ వీ గివ్ హియర్ execute program equal program name అని ఇస్తాము, డైరెక్ట్ గా ప్రోగ్రామ్ నేమ్ ఇస్తాము. అండ్ లోడ్ లైబ్రరీ we give in step lib. This load library we give here krishna.loadlib, you can see here. So ఇది normal programs. So COBOL DB2 it is like bit complex you can say, but it is simple if you understand the concept, it is easy only. So ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ we have pre-compilation. Pre-compilation అంటే it will take complete program whatever we have written, it will separate the, సో ఈ కంప్లీట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ తీసుకుంటుంది యాజ్ ఇన్పుట్. ఇట్ విల్ సపరేట్ ఈ కోబాల్ కోడ్ మొత్తం ఒక కాంపోనెంట్ లాగా కన్వర్ట్ చేస్తుంది. అండ్ ఇట్ విల్ కన్వర్ట్ దిస్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ ఓన్లీ ఎగ్జెక్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, విత్ వాట్ ఎవర్ బిట్వీన్ దిస్ స్కోప్ ఎగ్జెక్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ అండ్ ఎగ్జెక్, it will convert that it will separate that these SQL statements to some other component. Okay, it will create two outputs. ఈ pre-compilation అనేది it will generate two outputs. One is first output one is modified COBOL DB2 program. సో దాంట్లో ఓన్లీ COBOL స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఎగ్జెక్ SQL ఇవి ఉన్న దగ్గర it will replace with equivalent COBOL code. దానికి ఈక్వల్ గా COBOL లో something it can use call statements. Okay, so it will use that as equivalent. So if you go to just a second. Sorry for interruption. Okay. So I will just quickly explain and execute the program, then we can end the call. We will explain again the concepts tomorrow. Okay, so a pre-compiler output, it is then generate two outputs. So ఒకటి modified source COBOL program and second one is SQL compiled output. So SQL ని compile చేసి it will give DBRM. Okay, DBRM is nothing but compiled SQL statements. DBRM అంటే it stands for database request module. Okay, so ఈ next step we have compilation utility IGY-CRCTL. It will take modified COBOL program which is pre-compiler first output ఇక్కడ input లాగా తీసుకుంటుంది and it will generate the object code. Then this object code is the input to link edit utility. So this will take this object code and it will give the load module, which is executable component. Okay. Then fourth step we have bind. It will take the pre-compilation second output undi kada, SQL compiled SQL statements, DBRM. It will take this bind will take DBRM as input. DBRM is nothing but compiled SQL statements, and it will generate the plan or package. Okay, I will explain what is plan and package. So finally we get plan. Plan is executable. Okay, so avi manamu execution చేసేలో we give along with load this compile లోడ్ మాడ్యూల్ లైక్ కోబాల్ లోడ్ మాడ్యూల్ తో పాటు మనం SQL కి సంబంధించిన ప్లాన్ ఇవ్వాలి రన్ చేసేలో, దెన్ ఇట్ విల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ ద ప్రోగ్రామ్. ఓకే, సో let me quickly compile and execute the program if possible within 2 minutes. So I have JCL here. Okay, so where we have so మనం కంపైల్ JCL ఎప్పుడు కోడ్ చేయము. ఓకే, సో దిస్ ఈజ్ మై కంపైల్ JCL. Okay, so here, sorry, not this one. Yeah, this is DB2 com. So I will share the screenshots. You can follow that easily. Okay. So నేను చెప్పిన utilities అన్ని మీరు you can see this things here. You can see DS and HPC. This is pre-compiler utility. So pre-compiler, it will take the program and it will separate that. If you find an exec again, it will show compiler utility, IGV, CR, CTL. ఇవన్నీ utilities like tools. Then we have IEW. It will do link edit. So after this compile, we do bind. So this will have this JCL member has both compiler undi dintlo and pre-compiler undi. So my program is pgm4, right? Here give your program name and give your libraries. So what is our library name? cobal.lib. And you can give load.lib. So you have to create one library, DBRM library. సో మీరు లోడ్ లైబ్రరీ ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేస్తారో లోడ్ మాడ్యూల్ కి మిషన్ కోడ్ కి సేమ్ SQL మిషన్ కోడ్ స్టోర్ చేయడానికి యూ హ్యావ్ టు యూస్ లోడ్ లైబ్రరీ, సారీ DBRM library. So if you do compile, so we have copybook library name different, right? Copy book dot lib. So so it is giving JCL error. Okay guys, we'll continue in next class. We'll explain, we can execute the program and show you the output. Okay, in next class. Thanks for all joining. We can connect again tomorrow.
Okay.